Welcome to lesson 6.1. It's the first lesson of topic 6. Today we're going to try to understand the meaning of percent. Well, now that you've entered middle school, you've heard about these percents quite a bit. Your grades are generally a percent, but what does that mean? What is a percent? A percent is just a ratio. It's a ratio that compares a number to 100. So 25 out of 100 is 25%. If you got a 25% on an assignment, that means for every 100 questions that were asked, you got 25 of them correct. Cent comes from a Latin word, centum, which means 100. Matter of fact, the French talk about cent, which is cent. That's their word for 100. Cent is a root word to many of our common words. How many can you think of? Well, how about century? Century is 100 years. Okay. What about a centipede? A centipede allegedly has 100 legs. I don't think it does, but it has a lot of legs. How about cents in a dollar? There's 100 pennies in a dollar, 100 cents. And of course there's per cent or per 100. So there's just a few, there are many more. So, percent, here we go. If we have 50 out of 100, that's 50%. We just write that 50, and then this is the percent sign, just like that. 50%, 50 per 100. Also notice that 50 hundredths is also equivalent. So we can readily go between fraction, percent, and decimal form. Here we're going to use a grid to show what's going on. So we have some different kinds of toothpaste. We have the bright white toothpaste and then the other one, the dingy gray, I suppose. And there are 7 bright whites and 3 dingy grays for a total of 10 toothpastes. And I want to go ahead and shade in to show what part preferred bright white. So 7 out of 10 preferred bright white. So there we go. I've shaded in 7 out of 10 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so if I thought of that as a per 100, well, each of these columns is 10. So I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. I have 70 per 100 or 70 per cent. So there you go. 7 out of 10 is the same as 70%. Well, I can solve the same problem with equivalent ratios because ratios are off. If I had 7 out of 10, I could get an equivalent ratio that is per 100. I want to find per 100. Well, that's times 10. So I need to do the same to the top, and I get 70 per 100 or 70 per cent. Here's one for you to try. Jane won 9 out of 10 video games. 9 parts out of 10 total parts. And we want to know what percent that is. Well, change it to per 100. Then it's an easy step to percent. Give it a try. We'll talk about it in class. All right, here we go. We've got a line that represents 100% of something. And in this case, 100% of my line segment is 2 inches. And I have something here, a letter A at 1 inch, and I want to know what percent that is. So 1 inch out of 2 total inches, I want to know what percent that is. I want to know what that is per 100. Well, how do I get from 2 to 100? Well, that's times 50. Do the same to the 1. And I get 50 per 100 or 50 per cent. On this next one, they're asking me for point B right there. And I know that point B is 1 out of 4 inches. 4 is the 100%. And I say, how do I get from 4 to 100? Well, that's times 25. And I get 25 per 100 or 25 per cent. Here's one for you to try. We want to know which point on this line is 50%. So 50% is 50 per 100. And if all of it is 4 inches, what's the 50%? See if you can figure it out. We'll talk about it in class. Which letter corresponds to that? All right, I'm going to use some bar models now to see if I can make sense of these problems. It says CD is 4 inches long, and that represents 10% of a line segment. What's the length of the entire 100%? Well, 10% is 10 per 100, and I could divide by 10, and I get 1/10. So 10% is 1/10 of a line segment. So if I had a line, a bar model, broken into 10 equal parts, there they are, 10 equal parts. Each one is 1/10 of the whole. It says 100 or 10% is 4 inches. So that means all these 10% segments are 4 inches in length. And I want to know what the whole thing is. So it looks like I have 10 groups of 4 or 40 inches. All right, here's another one. Line segment EF is 6 inches long. That represents 200% of a segment. Well, this is 200%, and it's also 6 inches. Well, 100% is half that, right? Because you have two 100%s make up 200%. And so each of those has to be 3 inches, right? 3 plus 3 is 6. So 100% is 3 inches. All right, last problem in section 3. If CD is 4 inches long and that's 100% of a line segment, what's the length of a segment that is 25%? Well, 25% is 25 per 100. And if I divide top and bottom by 25, I get 1/4. So that means I'm taking this and breaking it into 4 equal parts, each of which are 25%, and I want to find out what one of them is. So give that a try. We'll talk about it in class. All right, some straight up practice. We have a pie chart that's broken into tenths. Looks like we have 4 of them shaded in. What is the percent shaded in? Then we have a grid that has 100 parts to it. What percent, what per 100 is shaded in? Moving on down, we have 3 different fractions, and we want to change them to percent. We want to change them to per 100. So once we get it to per 100, we get percent. Give it a try.